Super, okay, in which case we are started.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Teresa Cavallo from Cornerstone, and I am really pleased to be able to introduce today Aaron Smith. He is the UK Dyslexia and SEN consultant for Microsoft. So very exciting to have him with us today. And he's going to talk a bit around technology and how that can help the pupils that many of us work with who have any kind of need, diagnosed or otherwise. And so I am going to hand straight over to him. We will do questions at the end. So if you have a question, please do type it into the questions Q&A column, and we'll be looking at those and we'll come back to them near the end of the presentation. So Aaron, over to you. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much. As I said, my name's Aaron Smith and I am the UK's Dyslexia and SEND consultant. As you can see, I'm running closed captions and they are on my screen. That's not how you spell my name. My name is spelled like it is my Twitter handle. Do tweet me while you're doing it. I won't look at my Twitter while I'm on air, but do use the hashtag #MicrosoftEDU as well. So my role within Microsoft is all about delivering the awareness of accessibility for education. I've looked at the program today. I think you've had some amazing speakers that some of you will have listened to, some of you will have been to, and some of the stuff that I'm going to talk about you've probably already heard before. But I'm going to look at it from my perspective and my personal perspective. But I always start a presentation with where Microsoft has come from and where we're going to. So that is the most important thing for me. This is where is Microsoft been and where we're going. For me, this is kind of what drives my everyday. And it says there that at Microsoft, our mission is to empower every person and every organization on the planet to achieve more. And that's really important when it comes to accessibility and disability. I think when we look at them last two words, achieve more, I think that when we look at our students in our classrooms and we know that we can see students are struggling, we just want them to achieve more. We want every child to achieve more, of course. And that's the most important thing for me. Now, we're very lucky at Microsoft that we have this vision of a growth mindset, and this has been delivered to us by our CEO, Satya Nadella. Now, Satya himself is passionate about accessibility. He understands accessibility as well. And that's because he has a son with cerebral palsy and a daughter with cognitive difficulties. So he is grounded very much that disability and inclusion lifestyle is there. So he wrote this, he tweeted this some months ago. It says, accessibility is a Microsoft priority. We focus on designing and building products that our customers love, that are accessible for everyone and built in for each of us. Now, it says built for each of us, not built in, but I add that in it, the word in that sentence, because to me, built in is what we're going to achieve by the end of today. Now, of course, you will know that whenever I'm doing something, I always try and forget what I'm doing and I'm doing things differently. So I'm on a different computer to what I'm normally using, but we'll hopefully move forward. Now, for me, why am I doing this today? Why am I involved in this world today? I am severely dyslexic myself. I'm 36 years old. I have a reading age of a 9-year-old, spelling age of an 8-year-old. I also have no automatic reading capabilities. I also have tendencies of ADHD, ASD, and dyspraxia. So that is kind of a very kind of complex need of neurodiversity, which is really interesting one for me, but also gives me a real good edge and understands our students. I've worked in the field of dyslexia for over 20 years, and previously I worked for the British Dyslexia Association. But just to give you a flavour of what I feel about technology, and it has to go back to when I was diagnosed at age 9. When I was diagnosed at age 9, the feeling of stress and anxiety was definitely there. And I didn't understand that why dyslexia affected me and why I couldn't do things, why my sister was 3 years younger than me and she could read better than me, why I was being picked on at school. And going through schooling, technology became part of my life. When we got a computer in year 6 with using ASDA for school vouchers, when I moved into my high school and I got a first black and white laptop to carry around with me with technology on to help me type and to help me talk into my computer, that didn't work as well as it does today. To then leaving education and moving into the workplace and actually working ultimately for the British Dyslexia Association and actually seeing the innovations of technology. And that's when in 2016, when I became an independent consultant, technology really changed my life. And technology became part of that life. And without technology today, I wouldn't be able to do my job. I wouldn't be able to live my life. And that's really important for me because it enables me to level that playing field. And that's really important for me. In Microsoft, we know there is 1 billion people in the world with a disability. And that's really interesting to think about it. We know that 83% of us will get a disability at working age. 70% of disability is hidden. 13 million people in the UK have some severity of dyslexia. And it's estimated there is 6.4 million people in the UK have some severity of dyslexia. 40% of our entrepreneurs have a dyslexic tendency, but then 50% of our prison population have a literacy difficulty. We need to harness the strengths of dyslexics to actually grow the world today, and that's a personal opinion, of course. And I know that in the past you've had Kate Griggs from Made by Dyslexia will definitely agree to that actually moving forward. And it's Kate Griggs. Let's hopefully it actually says it correctly now if I speak a little bit better. So we understand disability, but where is Microsoft helping these people with disability? Where are we moving forward? Well, we are looking at all these areas, and this is your first takeaway of the day. This is the first link that I would recommend anyone go to, anyone need to look at when we are looking at how can we support young people in our classrooms, and how can we support our teachers and our staff members, because disability doesn't stop at an age, it's across the whole spectrum. We are looking at neurodiversity, mobility, hearing, vision and learning. So aka.ms/accessibility sway is a really good starting point. It's a really good web address for you to go to. So aka.ms/accessibility sway. It's a really useful way to actually look at things and how we move forward. Now, I'm going to concentrate on learning and just talking about our tools we've put together for learning and how we can help learners for free every day. But I want to talk about one thing. I want to talk about mobility. So I want us now all to just think about something. One, did we all know that Microsoft own Xbox? Now, most of us should know or do know now that Microsoft does own Xbox and they develop Xbox. But let's just think about the concept of gaming for just 2 or 3 minutes. Think about that if we played on any games console, we need to have 2 thumbs. What happens if we don't have a thumb? What happens if we've lost a thumb? What happens if we've been born with limited movement in our hands? What happens if we are doing things that we've done something, where we've had an accident where we have a temporary disability where we've broken our hand? How do we game? Well, Microsoft created the world's first accessible game controller. This is a device that allows anyone with a physical disability to game. It's a really useful product to actually see how we can actually develop accessibility in the right way. It has lightweight joysticks, sensors and switches that can be fully customizable. And it is a unique product that works on Windows 10, Xbox, and has now been enabled to work on iOS and Android. And I have seen people use this to maneuver their Switch for their children. Most people would think that actually this device costs a lot of money. And this is the power of what Microsoft has done. We've enabled this device to be accessible. It's $74.99 to buy this device, which is a really unique way of actually delivering a product which is really, really beautiful to look at, but also really sustainable and really useful for our learners. And I think that's the most important thing. We're lucky that the mouse manufacturer Logitech have also created switches. Switches are quite expensive, they're about £50 each, but actually Logitech have created a box of switches for £100 with 12 switches, which is really useful. But we need to look further in that. We didn't just make the device accessible, we made the box accessible. There's no cellophane. And even to this day now, looking at the technology coming out from Microsoft, so like the new Surface Go, that is now coming in a more accessible box, especially for education and business. We are removing that cellophane concept and cutting down on that printed product as well. But that's just an amazing concept there that you can see how we've made it more accessible. You could open that with your teeth. I know because I've done it. So let's look at our inclusive classroom message. We're going to talk about reading, writing and communication. We're not going to touch too much on maths today, but I want to talk about these across the day. We'll mention a little bit of maths over the time. So, of course, this is all about a journey. started on a journey with Microsoft Learning Tools and how we are leveling the playing field for learners. And this is a really interesting point of view. It is that we have been able to use the power of Microsoft and its hackable capabilities. Now, I'll use that word very loosely. Every year, Microsoft has a hackathon. We bring people together across our employees to enable us to kind of put ideas into our products. This normally involves large tents and involves a lot of chicken. But actually, the last few times, so over 2015 and 2016, we hacked many ideas in for accessibility. And it's just amazing what we brought out. And that's where Learning Tools came from. Learning Tools is a supporting tool, which we actually now call Immersive Reader. Immersive Reader is a load of features that allows people with dyslexia to actually use technology on a daily basis. Immersive Reader has features and tools like text-to-speech with synchronized highlighting, visual stress options, grammar options, real-time translation, picture dictionary, math-to-speech, and dictation. We also have a show formatting button. Now, these are amazing features that are available for free for everyone today. Now, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to try and demo this. Now, I apologize that as I was late to the party, I have got to go into it like this, and I'm hoping this is going to work. And we will find out in a second. And that's brilliant. I'm in the right place. So I've now, and hopefully you can see my screen. I'm just going to make sure that my screen is showing the right screen. 1 second, I'm just going to reshare my screen. Screen 1. That's it. There we go. So hopefully now you should see the screen, and you should see that I'm now logged in to office.com. Now, I'm logged into office.com because I wanted to show you and just talk about how we look at accessibility. Now, actually, in every one of these products you can see across the top, so in Outlook, OneDrive, Word, PowerPoint, OneNote, Teams, Sway, Forms, these all have accessibility in. Now, and you have to think about accessibility in different ways. Now, everyone's going to say to me, what about Outlook, and how has Outlook got accessibility in it? Well, Outlook's got accessibility in it because it has Immersive Reader in it, but it also has a calendar. It is also connected to the product To Do. They're products that actually that are probably productivity tools, but actually they are accessibility tools for some learners. And it's about thinking outside the box when it comes to accessibility. How can we help learners get their homework in their planning, right? Let's not give them a homework planner. Let's give them a device where we can send them an email or an invite to say your homework is due today. And that means people should be able to manage their time really well. We've got tools in many of these products, but we're going to look at Word today. And I've got a Word document here that I've actually created to actually demonstrate Immersive Reader to you. Now, I'm just going to switch over a few tools in my office because I'm hoping now that we're going to be able to hear this, and this may not work very well, but we'll try. So I've got here this tool here, and I've got this Word document open here. And for me, Word is really interesting. It is. So I use Word all the while. Lots of us use it. But say I've been sent this piece of homework from my geography teacher, and I need to read it, and I may have to be answering some questions. But as I told you, I am dyslexic. So how do I do that? Well, I'm going to click on the View tab, and here in the View tab, I have that Immersive Reader button. And that Immersive Reading button is really useful. I'm hoping this is going to work, and I'm just going to test it out. When I go into the Immersive Reader button, you can see that you'll get these tips coming up because this is the first I've been on it. Okay, 1 second. I love the power of technology when things don't want to work for us. So I'm going to put it on that one. Hopefully we'll be able to hear this in the future. So let's just talk about what we can do here. So, and why we do this. So why have we got this feature here, and what is it doing for us? So one, it's a built-in feature, and it's designed for us as individuals. So it's designed for us as students, it's designed for us as teachers, designed for us as educators, to have our own personal reading view. It's taken us out of that editing view and put us into that personal view. That personal reading view. Now we can do lots of manipulation with this. Now, if you can see, the text is spaced out, and that's the first thing that's happened is we've spaced out the text. We turn the spacing on off onto this A tab. We can make it bigger or smaller. So we're now helping our dyslexic students. We're now helping our VI students because we can make things quite big. That actually means that people should be able to read that at a certain level. I'm going to put it about there, I think. I can turn the spacing on and off. And you can see there it just worked quite well with there. Let's put it there. Or I can turn it back on. We have a couple of fonts to choose from. Now, of course, Comic Sans is in there because it's a dyslexia-friendly font. We have proper A's and we have proper G's. That's really useful. Now, we know that some students have difficulties with background colours. They may have a visual stress, so we can also put on different background colours. I'm going to use this purple one today. It's my favourite. We also have this new feature called show formatting, and show formatting is really useful because show formatting allows us to turn off. You know, it says study of Earth landsform there at the top. We can turn that formatting off because we know lots of dyslexics don't find italic text really easy to read, but we also know some people may find that other text is harder or easier to read. But we can do so much more with this text. We can syllabarize our text. So we've got landforms there, mountains, physical, geography, sessions, there's geography there, processes, right, affects. Really useful for some learners to break down words, and when we teach in a dyslexia friendly way or even a dyslexia structured way, we're using syllable division all the while. But what about picking out our nouns, our verbs, our adjectives and adverbs, which is so useful for some learners, and putting out on our labels to help people that are colorblind. Of course, you wouldn't have them all on, but the option now of also changing the color to find the right color that works for us and the right color that may work within our schools. That's always a useful thing to see, that we may be looking at some schools and looking at different ways of doing it. We're then also looking at how we can focus online, removing distractions in our focus line way, and lots of ways of removing them and how we can move up and down here in our document. But one of my favorite features is this, that we have picture dictionary. For free, we can look at words and remove some barriers for some learners. For me, barrier to learning is always what it happens to be. Being able to use something like picture dictionary to click on the word study or cold or geography or land or mountains or valleys. These are pictures that we can see every day. But the biggest thing is this. Now, you may not be able to hear this very well, but I'm hoping it's going to work. I'm just going to check it on my female voice. I'm going to play this.
The study of Earth's landforms is called physical geography. Landforms can be mountains and valleys.
So that there is using text-to-speech with synchronized highlighting. Now, you may not have heard the text, they may not have heard that voice very well, but to me, that's a female voice, and it's actually one of our new neuro voices, which is really useful for our learners. This is a really powerful way of actually looking at it, but that synchronization is really important. Synchronization is really important because if we think about when we were in primary and we're using our fingers to follow the words, that is what synchronization is doing. So it means that we are listening and reading at the same time. We are following the words and we are helping our brains to do reading, which is really interesting for some learners and also really powerful as well, because we are then using a multisensory approach to learning when it comes to reading, or multisensory approach when it comes to reading. But we've talked about English, and of course we can do lots of things with this text. So let's just change this text. We can make it faster. So hopefully you can hear this. And then we can also slow it down as well.
Valley. They can also be black.
So it's really useful that you can change the speed, and you will find that actually some people do have it really fast. I know I would have mine probably about there at 2. And that's for me personally, because I personally use text-to-speech all the while. But what about then our learners with English as additional language? We can of course change languages. So let's just pick a language out. Let's do it in Hindi. There's the whole document turned into Hindi. Press the play button. It's now reading it out in Hindi. And we've got over 70 languages to choose from, which is really useful and really powerful. But my favorite language, of course, is Arabic. Why is that? Because watch the synchronization. That is just like amazing how we do it and how we move it forward. And that to me is really powerful, that actually we have thought about everything there. We are now removing barriers for learners, for teachers and for parents in many ways by using immersive reader. But we've talked a lot about reading there. How do we start? What about this writing concept? What about people writing? The one benefit of using Word Online as part of Microsoft 365 is we have the dictation button, and we can just click dictate and allow the microphone. I'm now going to use the dictation feature to dictate what I'm saying, full stop. New paragraph. I can use some commands that work pretty well. Exclamation mark. New paragraph. I can also use commands like comma or question mark. The other benefit as well with dictation now is this brilliant new feature here that has come into Word Online. And this is a little control panel that one gives us some settings. Now I've got this set to US English, but I could change this to UK English. So that now should help for me when it comes to the dictate kind of feature. The other thing here is I can actually put auto punctuation on. Now what this means is, I just turn it on. When I stop talking, new line, it will automatically put a full stop at the end of every sentence. So you can see that that's really useful for some people, and it may be helpful for learning dictation as we go. But the thing I really like about this new feature here that's been added is the help functionality. The help bar talks to us how we can use it. It also lets us here to say what things can we say when it comes to punctuation. This is really useful for us as educators, because we are now embedding more and more features as we go along today. The other thing that actually really helps with writing is actually this function here called editor. An editor to me is a brand new feature, and basically it looks at your document and kind of gives out lots of things, and not just spelling and grammar like we used to do. We look at accuracies, clarity, consistency, formatting, inclusivity, sensitive information, and voluntarily. So these are really useful things. It also gives us statistics of how long it will take to read it, speak it, and it will also look at uncommon words. So dictation, do we use transcription, which might be a better word to use? Well, and formatting there, I am rather than I'm. And again, it's done it again, and this is going to probably now give me 100%. There you go, found no results, no issues. So again, you see, we're kind of really using that document to help it, and that's kind of helping us with lots of things, including things like when we look at, say, accessibility in our documents, we're using these features to move things forward. Now, one of the other things I just want to say to you is that if you ever open a document from an email, you actually get Immersive Reader automatically. So the Immersive Reader is there in the View tab, and there's Immersive Reader there. The other thing that I want to mention also is that you do have the accessibility checker. Definitely run accessibility checking on our documents. This one says it's been checked, it's okay, it's complete, but do run that as you are using your products, because it's really useful. And of course, also Translator is built into online as well. And these are things that we have to think about when we're talking about accessibility. I want to just talk about another thing. Now, I'm using the Edge browser. I'm using the new Edge browser, and hopefully you can see how I'm using this version here of the Edge browser. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to scroll down here to a news article. So I'm going to bring up this article here. I'm going to continue this article here. I know it's about an iPhone, but I'm not sure what it is. So what I'm going to do is, I can't read this as a dyslexic, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to press the right mouse button here, and there is my read aloud function. If I read, so basically there that we've actually been able to do text to speech with synchronized highlighting on a web page, and this works on any web page. Right mouse button, read aloud. It works really well because it means that actually if we are doing research, if we're a student, we can just highlight it and say continue reading from here, and that is really powerful. But actually, the thing about being dyslexic, or even having any difficulties, we have all this distraction. Or what is this money? What is all these buttons? I look at these. Up here in the top right hand corner is the Immersive Reader button. I can press F9 or I can click on it, and it now removes all them distractions. I now have a cleaner view that I can do the same manipulations I've done before. I can do the line focus, I can do grammar options, I can do syllables, I can pick out my nouns, I can change my background colors. I can do. So I can have different background colors that work for me. I can change the size of my font, make it bigger or smaller. I can do spacing on the text. Again, a really useful tool for learners looking at it when it comes to development and actually using products within our organization. For me, you see, this is not, these are just some of the features that are there, and there's the Edge logo there for you. But actually, we go a lot further. We have this in Teams. If you're using Microsoft Teams as we are today, we have this, including closed captions that are available in Teams. So that is a feature there where you can do immersive reader in Teams, both on conversations and on chat. If you have not used Flipgrid before, I do recommend it. Flipgrid is a really good learning tool, but we've actually put immersive reader into there. Now, Flipgrid actually had this before it was part of the Microsoft family, but that is a really useful tool. We put it into Minecraft Education. If you're using Minecraft Education, there's a lot of words in there. So let's use it to its full advantage. Minecraft Education has got lots of information there. We've got all the features like background colors, spacing, but also words like creeper have actually been put into our picture dictionary. So this is really useful for learners as well. My favorite tool in Microsoft 365 is Forms. Microsoft Forms was developed for education. That's where it came first. It's now available in the business world. But the benefit of that is that things come first to education, and this is one of them. We have put Immersive Reader into Microsoft Forms. It's only available on education tenants. So what that means is for you as educators, for you in education, you can send a form out to a parent that can translate it into a different language. You can also send a form out to a student that may find reading difficult, and they can just listen to it. If you're trying to find out the information, then use the features that are available. If you're using Teams assignments is an amazing tool, but for them learners that find reading all that information difficult, we've put Immersive Reader into that. Microsoft Whiteboard for Education. You get Microsoft Whiteboard as part of Microsoft 365 when you use the Windows 10 app. So this is the Windows 10 app, which is on the screen now. This will also allow you to run Immersive Reader. So if we're sharing this with students on their personal devices, again, you can actually get them to read this in their own personal device and actually develop their kind of understanding of what you're saying. We've also made this available for other people. So for you as, say, you as senior leaders, for you as app developers, website developers, we have now enabled it that Azure Cognitive Service, which is a paid-for product, it's not the end user doesn't pay for it. The people that have the developments on there, it is. That's the thing. It is. So cognitive services is really positive. It is. So it is really useful and really good. It is, and a really useful tool. It is. So I just think we need to just keep moving forward, and things are really powerful for our learners. The other thing that we have changed as well is the way that we process voices. So voices is really useful. Is really useful to actually do things and move things forward. So our actual kind of the way that we look at our voices when it comes to text to speech has now changed to this more neuro voice tech, this more simpler way of doing stuff, less synthesization, more real time. Now, hopefully you can see that Immersive Reader and learning tools and all the features I'm showing today is definitely a life-changing experience. For me, I cannot work any day without using one of these features, especially dictation and very much read aloud when I'm reading emails. And it's in all these products. When we look at it, it's not just in Word Online, which I showed you. It's actually in 5 versions of OneNote. So that is like OneNote Desktop, OneNote in the web, OneNote Windows 10 app, iOS and Mac, 4 versions of Word, like 2 versions of Outlook, Teams, Flipgrid, Whiteboard, Forms, Minecraft Education, the Office Lens and the Edge browser. The only one I haven't spoken about is Office Lens, which is basically your in your pocket scanner on your phone, which is a really useful tool, which has lots of features for accessibility, including Immersive Reader. If we look at the bottom there where it says dictation, dictation isn't in lots of products, but it is moving forward. And I think that's really useful for some of our learners. It is that it's in PowerPoint in the web and PowerPoint desktop, and it's coming to Windows 10. Really useful and really amazing. So what I want to do now is I just want to show you just another 2 features within PowerPoint, because I think this is really useful for learners to think about and actually for teachers to learn about. Now, normally at this time, I would say to you, how long does it take you to do a PowerPoint? And think about how long it takes you to do a PowerPoint. So I'm using PowerPoint in the web. Now, the one benefit of PowerPoint in the web and PowerPoint desktop is we have a thing called Designer, which is this feature here. It's called Designer or Design Ideas in desktop. It's an amazing tool. It gives you like kind of all these really nice design ideas. I'm going to turn it off for a second and make a new slide. I'm going to make very quickly a PowerPoint presentation for us as a to do an agenda for a staff meeting. Agenda. ICT, new line. English, new line. Maths, new line. Tea break, new line. Geography, new line. Drama. Now that's going to be my kind of, that's my agenda. Now, very quickly, you can see there that actually dictation is now not just an accessibility feature, it's also a productivity feature for education, which is really useful. Now, I've done there a very boring presentation. Now, I could go along putting pictures in myself. I could use the design tool up here and do things, but I'm going to use Designer because I want to do is I want to see what Designer can do for me. Now, Designer uses artificial intelligence. So it reads what my presentation says and lets me pull back an amazing kind of view for me. So what it's done there is it's read my presentation and seen that I've got a list of things, including ICT, English, Maths, tea break, geography and drama. And it's pulled down pictures that match them words. Now that has just made that slide more accessible than ever before. Because what it's doing is it's using pictures to help us move forward. And that is really interesting. And if I click on like the math pitch here, because I don't want to use the calculator, I want to use a plus sign, I want to use this, it's going to change it for me. And then what it'll do now is now Designer's seen that, okay, I'm using that, I'm now going to go through again and look at other ones. So I've got other pictures to choose from down the side here. But not only that, if I type in here and just close Designer down and say Aaron's Christmas shop and use Designer now, it's now going to go out and find me some really cool Christmas pictures. So it's now using artificial intelligence to really help me develop my kind of presentation that I want. So I've now got my presentation. I've done my presentation. It's not boring anymore, but I need to make myself accessible. So if I go to slideshow, of course, I've got this brilliant feature called you always use subtitles. And of course, I can click on that and click from the beginning. And if you now look at the bottom of the screen, you should see subtitles appearing. And that's really useful. And that's only going to be coming in one language. So what about if I have a classroom or I even have a group of parents that cannot understand English and need to have their personal kind of user kind of voice? This is where Live Present comes in. Now, Live Present is such a new feature, and I have demoed it a number of times, and I'm going to try and demo it in this way. So I've opened up an incognito browser for a reason, and I'll bring that in a second. I'm going to click on Live Present. I am. Now, what I'm going to do is up will come a QR code. Now, this QR code allows me now to use my phone or my device to use the next thing. So I'm just going to click on what it says. This is the next page here with the QR code. The web address in the top corner there is really useful. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to now scan this QR code, and the probably downside to Teams Live is going to be what's the word I'm thinking of? The delay. So some of the text may appear earlier and later, but what happens is now is I've got this on here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to like use this address. So I'm going to go to my browser here. I'm going to put this browser here. I'm going to say ppt.ms/ne973 UPT. And now if I start talking, what you're going to see at the bottom there, and you can see there that it's at the very bottom, it's now going in English. But what I can do is I'm just going to go to my next slide and then bring back my screen here. But what I can do is I can change my language here. So I can change it to say Fijian or German or Greek, and I'm now still speaking English and it's still doing that conversion. But what I can also do is I can also send emojis to my presentation. So if you look here, I can send an emoji to it. You see at the bottom, there's an emoji appearing now. There you go. There's lots of them appearing now, and that's really useful for getting feedback. But I can also then, if I'm in the actual screen here, what did that first slide say? Let's put that back to English so we can read it. Let's put it back to English. Where's English? And you can see that I'm scrolling through. I can go back and actually read that last slide. I can also go to the current slide of the presentation. This is really so useful for learners. It is, and a really useful tool. Now what I can do here is I just minimize this and go to the end. It's also going to send me a feedback form. So if I go back to this one, you can see how well did I do? I did very well. It's going to create a presentation for me of how well I did, and I can submit questions, which is really kind of powerful for my learners. Again, a really useful tool. The last thing I want to say to you also is this button here. Now, this is a really cool tool here. This is really useful from an accessibility point of view, but also from an actual development point of view. It's called Rehearse with Coach. And I'm going to do this now, and it's going to sound really weird when I talk now. So I'm going to speak really, really fast, and hopefully in a second it's going to give me some feedback. And it means that I'm going to talk really, really fast, and what's going to happen is there's going to be a feedback button here at the bottom, which sounds really, really weird, but in a second you can see there that it's telling me that I'm speaking too fast. Now, if I speak really slowly and kind of do a really deep voice, hopefully in a second, okay, yeah, but okay, people, you need to listen, okay, and I'm trying to get it to come up with another error, but it hasn't done it today. English IT. So I'm just going to come to the end so you can see. Basically, it's done me a little bit of a kind of chart on how well I've done. I've got a little pitch control there so you can see how far I've done, and also my target of pitch, and I haven't done any sensitive phrases or anything like that. So sometimes if I say okay a lot, it will change that. But again, it's really useful for learners and for teachers. If you want to practice with it, it's a really powerful tool, and it's really amazing. For me, it's like all about moving forward, and that's Rehearse with Coach. And of course, there's PowerPoint Live, as it's called, or live session in PowerPoint, which means things are built in, which I really like. The last thing I just want to talk about is using Microsoft Translator the same way I've just used my phone or my device to bring up that thing, to bring up the captions. I will be able to, in the future, it's not available yet, I will be able to bring this into OneNote as well. So I'm just looking at the time, and I'm just going to come to my last two slides. I'm going to just jump through. If you haven't yet been to the educator community, education.microsoft.com, do go to it. It's an amazing tool. It's lots of support for you as learners, for you as teachers. And of course, the last link I want to give you is aka.ms/inclusiveultimate. So aka.ms/inclusiveultimate. Do also that, I know a lot of these sessions are being recorded, so do watch the recording. That is really inclusive for all of us to watch recording. So aka.ms/inclusiveultimate is basically another link you can go to. So they're the three links I've gave you today. Or everything I spoke about is built in, mainstream, non-stigmatizing. Of course, it's all free. It's all about creating that foundation for success. And that's most important for me. Putting technology at the heart of learning with accessibility tools built in for everyone creates independent learners and ensures all students achieve their full potential. I know I gave us a lot of time for questions. My email addresses are there. My Twitter handle is there. The one thing I am going to say to you all, though, that if you want me to come into your schools or talk to your schools or do some training with your schools, that is my role. If you have any environment that you want me to support when it comes to accessibility or me to deliver that presentation, just reach out. It is all free. I'm going to hand back to you so we can answer any questions that are coming towards me.
Oh, thank you so much.
I'm going to bring that screen back up so people can still see it. There you go.
Thank you. Dale, am I on?
Hello.
Absolutely brilliant. And I think many of us know that lots of those tools exist, but the way that you just demoed those was absolutely brilliant. Thanks so much. And you know what, we really don't even have many questions, just people commenting how brilliant it is, and that's really helpful, really interesting. And I think from my perspective, we've got a few children that have really run with this and become really independent at using it, and it really has changed the game for them in terms of accessing curriculum, being independent.
That's the point.
Yeah, contributing to class discussion, being at home and getting help when they need it, and being confident to do that. And that for me has just been amazing. So you've just done a brilliant job, of course you have, at showing us all of those tools, and I think it's very much appreciated. And I think people will go away with so many ideas of how to support the many children that we have in our care or our homes. So thank you so much. Unless anybody has anything else. Dale, I don't think there are any more questions.
No more questions.
No.
Thank you, though. I agree. It was really interesting.
Yeah, that was great. Thank you.
The big thing out for everyone is that if you, like we said, the service is available for anyone in education that wants me to deliver this in their schools. That's available. Just email me and we'll book it in. That's the thing. We'll do it via Teams. We'll do it via however way you want to do it. And it's now all about for me to embed accessibility into learning across the next 12 months to ensure that we do go forward, and we do exactly what you said. We empower them students.
Yeah, that is brilliant. Thank you.
That's all right.
Thank you very much, everybody.
That's all right. Thank you everyone for listening. Take care and look forward to the session.